Welcome to Financially Focused, where we mentor go-getting action takers who are ready to grow and reach their professional goals. My name is Denise Williams, an approved financial coach. And the question for today is, are you reaching your full potential? When I first tried to juggle my career in investment banking and care for a special needs child, outside of feeling permanently exhausted, I felt stuck and I felt afraid. How could I be a good mother to my 2 children and grow my career? Then I met our guest, Dr. Carolyn Hayles, labor market specialist and CEO of EGS Global Careers. And she shared the concept that the job is not your career. Your career is the growth of your career. Welcome, Dr. Hayles.
Thank you, Denise.
What a mind blower, mind bender, you know. I'm so happy and honored to have you here to discuss why a career development plan is so important for you to focus on. And, you know, in a nutshell, what is a career development plan?
Well, thanks for having me here. That's the first thing. Yes. But it's a roadmap. It shows you where you are now and where you want to go in life. What you do is you assess where you are.
Yes.
And you look at where you want to go, and then you do a gap analysis to see what's missing and how do I need to plot the path to get where I need to go. Mm-hmm. The importance of this is that you can do this like every 2 years, because you learn a job in 2 years. You fully learn a job in 2 years and shouldn't move outside of that.
I see.
So it helps you to focus.
Right. Now, we really want to dig down to help you build your financial table, because we want to protect your income, your savings, your long-term goals, and your mindset. So we really want to put more power in your purse or wallet, you know, with the career development, and specifically a plan. And it's an individual development plan because it's for you, yeah? So let's really break it down. So there are some development goals that we should have. So I don't know if you want to look at the list that you created.
Yes, I have it there for reference.
Okay, all right. So let's look at what are some of the goals.
To me, the most important thing is to learn about yourself.
Okay.
Because we go bumbling along thinking that we just respond to what happens to us, but we don't sit down and think, well, how did I get here?
Yes.
Who influenced me?
Yes.
What are the things that were positive? What were negative? What did I learn from those experiences?
So if I got up every day and heard my grandma tell me, say, I'm no good. I can't read, I can't write, I can't do math.
Right.
But then I feel incompetent on the job.
Yeah, but am I using those skills on the job? If I'm using those skills on the job and I have got through high school and I am actually in the job, clearly grandma wasn't on the right path.
Okay.
So I have proven my point to grandma. Now I need to overcome that and move forward. Do I need more math? Or can I, where I want to go, how much math do I need?
Yes.
Where do I go from here? What are the things that I need to get where I want to go? Some people don't know where they want to go because they haven't sat down and thought about themselves.
Is that the growth mindset?
That's the growth mindset. You have to think about who you are and where you want to go. And it may seem, whatever you want to do may seem odd to other people. Don't worry about that, because your education and your career journey is your personal journey.
Right.
You determine what you want to do and what makes you happy. And then that's what you use to figure out, okay, I'm here, I want to go there, how am I going to do it? And it can be zigzag.
Hold on though, Doc. You have something that's very controversial in my mind.
As usual.
You have here that persons should accept their limits.
Yes.
But that is in absolute contradiction to so much coaching that says you are limitless. You should not see limits, because then you don't try as hard.
You're not limitless. Can you fly?
In a plane?
In a plane. But
Yes.
Denise does not have wings and
No.
therefore cannot fly. Fine. So for Denise to believe that she could be bedward, it's going to lead her to the same place it led bedward.
Right.
Okay, fine. So we need to be realistic. You have limitations. We all have limitations.
But-
what are they?
but
But
if-
it doesn't mean it needs to keep me back.
So we shouldn't focus on
I don't focus on limitations.
All right.
I need to figure out how I can get where and can I get training or help to minimize the limitations or to move them all together. Some things it doesn't have to be a limitation. If you get the proper coaching, if you have the right mindset, it's all in your mind, you know. If you determine that you want to do something, you're going to do it.
Right.
Nobody's going to stop you.
Right.
But you have to believe that. You also have to have an open mind, because most people around you will tell you, oh, you can't do that, don't worry, that, my foolishness, that. As I said before, it's your personal journey. There's a lot of research out there that will show you what you want to do. In this environment, many people will say, oh, people are doing, what did I say the other day, 23 CXCs. What are you doing with 23 CXCs? The universities are asking you for 5 to matriculate.
Okay.
So what are you going to do with the rest?
Well, what if I just feel like...
Well, if you feel like doing them, that's fine, and you have the money to do them, that's cool. But it doesn't mean that you are greater than anybody else because somebody did 5 and you did 23.
Okay.
It's a base.
Right.
Okay? So that's why I keep saying it's your personal journey. So don't look at what Denise has achieved or what Denise is doing. Figure out where you are and where you want to go.
Okay.
And where are your shortcomings, so to build on that.
You talk about recreate your work-life balance. Well, for me, it's work, home, church. Work, home, church.
Okay.
That's my life.
But if you're comfortable with that, then why change it?
Okay.
Okay. Some people prefer to do it a different way. Half work, half church. And some don't want to work at all, but that's a different story.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And what about avoiding negativity in the workplace?
Well, there's always negative. There's always something stirring, but you don't have to feed into it. You recognize it, and then you figure out how I'm going to manage this process.
Right.
If you feed into it, it's going to escalate.
Right.
And from there, there's going to be greater negativity and more unhappiness, and then eventually somebody's going to have to go.
So what about your values? How would you put that? Because we're basically laying the foundation for our individual development plan. So we don't reach the plan yet.
No.
We're just laying the foundation. So what do you say about values?
Remember, when we talk about values, it means, who am I? What are the things that I will not compromise on, regardless of who tells me to do it? I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Because that is not, I don't believe in that. I'm not going to do it. You might like it, you do it. But I am not doing that. So that's why it's so important to know yourself. If you put yourself in a situation where you're compromising your values, you're going to be unhappy. And eventually it's going to catch up with you. Okay? So in developing the individual development plan, it's your open-mindedness, it's your ability to assess where you are and determine how you can move to the next step. It's also the ability to listen. We do not listen half of the time. We want to tell other people, are you listening enough to fight back? When if you had kept quiet, you could probably learn a lot more from what is being said and use it to your own benefit.
Okay. Of course, I like improve your financial management skills. So again, we're back to the foundation for the individual plan. So this is before you create the plan with either yourself, a website, or a coach.
Right.
And so in your view, how do you see not having financial management skills impacting persons in the workplace?
Well, what do we define as financial management skills? Are you going to work with BOJ, or you're going to work with one of the financial houses? No, you want to just have financial literacy and an understanding of how money and finance works. One of the problems that we have is that people do not understand money. You must understand money in order to grow money. Money attracts money, right? And there is a whole mindset around that, and understanding that money by itself has no value. People don't understand that money is a medium of exchange. So you want to go to the top of your particular career, what is it going to cost you to get there? And therefore, where do I need to work now in order to help me either to get loans or to see if I can get scholarships or grant money to be able to pay for that education that will then give me the qualification, the competencies that can translate into money that can give me the things that I want.
All right, I love it. Okay, so there is not one way that you can create a individual development plan. So let's look at 3 types. Okay. So the first one is a leadership development goal. So perhaps this is somebody who wants to reach the top of the organization. Talk to me about that one.
Well, if you want to reach the top of the organization, first of all, you need to know where you are. Are you at entry level? Are you intermediary? Or are you at the supervisory level? When you get to that point, the supervisory level, and most of the youngsters coming in with the bachelor's or baccalaureate will come in at the supervisory level. They're not coming in to manage anybody's plant or business because they don't have the experience. You have the qualifications, but you lack the experience in most instances to be able to go straight into a managerial post. They have to see where you are and what you're capable of doing, how you manage people. That's why they'll put you in a supervisory level. When you get to that level, you have 2 choices. You can either go on the technical and professional side and you continue in your career on that level, or you say right away, I want to go in the managerial rank. So you have about 4 steps on the managerial ladder that you would go up. Now, when you go in the professional and technical ranks, it doesn't mean you're stuck there. There are some people who do not like to manage people, do not want any administrative responsibility, and they're quite happy staying in the professional and technical ranks. The others who go through that path and want to go to the managerial rank, they enter usually at about level 3, level 4 on the managerial rank, and then they go up and train and go up into the C-suite. So you don't have to become a manager to become a leader, because you can be a leader on the technical side because you're an expert in your particular area, whatever you're doing. But you just need to know where you are and how you're going to stream, how you're going to work yourself through from where you are to the top that you want to get to.
Okay, so you have here some suggestions for leadership development. If that's your area, you have strategic thinking, enhancing emotional intelligence, and improving team management skills. So are you suggesting that you sit with your manager and say to them, I have this dream, I have this plan, and I need to learn strategic thinking, and emotional intelligence and team management? Should you do that? Should you trust your manager that much and tell them your goals?
Well, it's not about, some of the managers would say, oh, really, you want my job, right? But the majority of them are not like that.
Okay.
The majority of them would say, oh, yeah, all right, so this is where you want to go. And so I will try to make sure that I give you tasks that will help to develop you, and I will show you and try and guide you and mentor you as you go along. Now, remember, if you do encounter that manager who says, oh, my job you want, you don't have to continue working in that company, you know. You have the competencies. So you and those competencies can be shopped anywhere. You're not stuck with that particular company. The competence is yours, the qualifications are yours.
Right.
And so that's why it's important for you to have that map of where you are now and where you want to go and how to get there.
Okay, next one. So if you're in a company and you recognize you have a time challenge, and so perhaps you would want to have a time management development plan, and some of the suggestions you have given is mastering task prioritization, implementing time blocking techniques, and reducing procrastination. Again, how would you suggest creating a plan for those skills to manage time? Because that may be holding back your career.
But you see, again, it comes back to your personality and your core values. So your manager will have to realize that, oh, Denise really has an issue with time, but in terms of task. Because in some levels and some professions, it's not about time, you know. It's not time is not a critical issue. You don't have to clock in at 8 because something has to be, you have to open the store at 8:30. Some things are task oriented. So they would move you, so I would need you to complete this task. Now how you complete it and the time frame in which you complete it, I need it by the 14th of February. Right? So you know the time, I've given you this is what I want to do, and this is the time frame. How you go about doing it, that's fine, as long as we can review as you go where you are and if you are meeting the objectives. But some people, time is a problem for them, but it doesn't mean that they're not competent. It's the way they execute on their knowledge.
All right. Now we have digital literacy development goals, and I think that's for everybody. So we have under that, learn new software, have cybersecurity awareness, and improve digital communication skills.
Yes.
So in your view, again, how am I mapping out my individual development plan in digital skills?
You see, they, when you're looking at the careers and the occupations, it will tell you the types of digital technology that you need, or the digital competence that is attached to that particular suite of tasks that you are going to perform. So you will know, I am not proficient in Excel. So, but in order to get to the next step, I have to master Excel. So you're going to have to spend the time to learn that. Or you may look at it and it doesn't need Excel at all, but it needs you to be very proficient in Office, the other bits and pieces of Office, but Excel is just one of them, and you press along. You need to know what it is that is crucial for you to execute on the task that you have and that you're being paid to deliver on, and also where you need to go.
Okay. Now, the fourth one, and of course there are many, but the fourth one that you have highlighted is relationship development goals and having a plan for that. And you suggest improving active listening, enhancing conflict resolution, and building networking skills. Is it fair to ask the company to pay for you to get these types of training if relationship development is your individual development goal?
Well, there may be a seamless mesh between what your individual goal is and the company's goal. If you're hired in a job where you have to do CRM, customer relation management, then you have to develop those skills. If you're in a job where you're not interfacing with a number of people, although you have to interface with your team members as well, then it's not as crucial. So, but you need to understand, active listening is something that we do not do. You must listen in order to minimize conflict, because sometimes we hear what we want to hear and that's not what the person said. And that's what leads to a lot of the conflict. And there are many different types of listening. There's a whole section that I do on listening. There are all kinds of barriers to listening, and listening, it's interesting, but it's at the root of your ability to think strategically, because that's how you gather information. And it's also the whole issue of critical thinking. It's based on your assumptions and beliefs. And all of those things come into play when you're determining where you want to go and to minimize conflicts, because when you're open-minded and you listen, you realize, oh, that's the way Denise thinks, so I need to modify my particular approach to this particular subject rather than just being a bull in a china shop and just running in to say whatever you feel like saying.
So what about networking? Is that something that you should do on your own, or you think the company should help you to learn?
As I said, if you have a job that requires networking, then it's something that you will have to master. Personally, I don't like networking. I've said that and people look at me in horror, because we've made networking something quite negative. You use it to use people. I don't believe in using people. You know, if you have to interface with somebody because you're working on a particular project, that's fine, but don't set out to befriend Denise because you think Denise can open another door for you. That is not networking, that is usury. Okay, not in the financial sense, but in the colloquial sense. So be careful with the term networking. It's building relationships for the purpose of achieving the company's goals, or in your personal case, whether you're looking for a mentor or you want to talk to somebody who has a particular, is a subject matter expert, then you can do that. But you speak to the person, ask them for their assistance, but don't befriend them on the sly, hoping to get them to push you ahead. That's, to me, that's dishonest. I don't like it.
Okay. Another controversy.
As usual.
An individual development plan can be done on your own or with a coach or with your company. But I believe a lot of persons mix up the performance management process, you know, what we call the performance enhancement plan.
Yes, your individual development plan is yours, you know.
Yes.
Whether you're in a job or you're not in a job, you have an individual development plan.
Performance improvement plan.
Right.
Performance improvement plan is not an individual development plan.
Nor is it an employee development plan.
Oh.
The employee development plan is where at the end of your performance appraisal, your supervisor will look at it and say, Denise, I think you should go to the next level now, but there's a gap. You need to get some training in this particular area. So we'll set it up. We'll tell HR that you need to go to this training session to be able to master those skills so we can move on. The other one now, the performance improvement plan, means that you have been warned many times that you are not meeting the standards, you are not fulfilling your obligations, and so they're putting you on a performance improvement plan. And after that, if you don't improve the way you're performing and to the satisfaction of the company, then they're going to terminate. Yeah. So
one is more like a warning.
Your one is it's like at the end bit of the grievance. And more, of the management process,
right?
Where you warn orally, then you write, and then you begin. This part of like grievance, you warn, you write, and then you fire or you terminate. Well, in this case, you're trying now not to terminate, so you put them on an improvement plan to show them this is what we asked you to do, and this is but you're falling short. So we need to make sure you can correct.
Okay. So what we're really saying then is, create a map of where you want to go.
Yep.
How you're gonna get there.
Where you are now.
Or where you are now.
Yeah.
How you're gonna get there.
Yeah. What's the gap?
Where's the gap and the cost to take care of the gap.
Yeah.
All right. And so the evaluation, and you're saying also the evaluation is every 2 years.
Of yourself.
Yes.
You should evaluate where you are every 2 years.
So don't just wait on your performance.
No, you're not waiting, because your individual plan is your and your career plan and your personal plans, you know.
Right, it belongs to me.
It's where you want to be until you retire, and even after that, even until you die, because you might not retire. You may be going to consultancy, or you may have your own business.
Right.
So if you keep looking, where am I now? What do I need to improve?
Yes.
The employee development plan is coming from the company.
Right.
And it has to come in line with their goals and objectives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hale. My name is Denise Williams, your financial coach, and I'm encouraging you to learn more at our website, www.financiallyfocusedmedia.com, where you can access our free 30-day financial independence course.